Jeremy, guess what? It's Tuesday, and look at no fish eyes. So today, for today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a unsolicited top 10 list by yours truly that requires no research, no real planning, and is 100% opinion based because that's what I do in my videos and you just have to deal with it. So in today's vlog, we're going to give you top 10 games that have been influential to me in my life and why that is. So here we go, here's the top 10 list with number 1, Diablo 2. Now I started playing this game when I was much too young actually. The legal limit for the game is 17 years old and I started playing it when I was 13. Yes, okay, so I just checked it up now. So I started playing the game actually when I was about 12 years old. It came out when I was 9. Now this game is actually an influential game to me for many reasons. Because everything in Diablo 2 was randomly generated in that instance of that file, it had a very heavy replay value, but what was one of the more influential things for the game for me was how the skill-based system worked, how the open environment worked, and the randomly generated seeds. I could play the game repeatedly with similar character types, but different character builds to see what worked. Number 2! Lego Rock Raiders. Lego Rock Raiders was actually more of a marketing game developed by Data Designs Interactive. Each mission gave you basically a task of find this or collect this. But how you went about getting to that completion was actually up to you. There were different styles you can employ. You can employ armies of little dudes running around. You can employ a small select team of very well trained rock raiders to accomplish your tasks. You could beam down a bunch of vehicles to help. Those were the basics that you could do. There was a lot of different ways you could complete the game. It had a lot of, because of how badly it was designed, there was no real better way to play the game. So you had a lot more freedom in that, and that's something that I rather enjoyed. Number 3, hype game of the century, Five Nights at Freddy's. The first one, to clarify. Now this game for me is very influential in the sense, more so of the storytelling aspect and the ambience and the atmosphere of the game itself. The storytelling aspect of it is so well made and so well designed, not to mention the atmosphere, the environment, everything is just so subtle and meticulous that the game itself breathes a kind of life and horror into the aspect of a horror game that you don't really see with a lot of games, or isn't very well conveyed in a lot of games. Not to mention, the game built a community around it who's all trying to solve the same mystery since the game's inception and publication, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what's happened. And with each iteration of the game, it adds new elements to the mystery, and adds new elements to the gameplay mechanics itself. It really pushes the boundaries of what we're familiar with, what we're comfortable with, and what we are used to understanding and seeing. And I love it. Influential game number 4. Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy Kong's Quest. This game I really respect on more of a music level as well as a mechanical level. As far as the music is concerned in the game, it has some of the most iconic music you can think of in a Super Nintendo title. The game is very heavily pirate inspired, and they had a really interesting way of building the sound effects and the songs of that game around that so well that each level song, each level type anyway, is so unique to that level, but still fits in a nice common theme of everything. Now mechanically, this game is really brilliant in my mind, is because from level 1, you have every skill at your disposal. You have every skill you need to beat the game at your disposal at level 1. There's nothing to unlock. There's no secret combos. But because of these 9 worlds, and because each one had anywhere between 10 to 12 levels in it, the game slowly ramped up the difficulty to take you where you needed to go, so that when you hit the final boss, you were actually prepared for it based on your own personal skill level as a player, and not unlocking things to make the game easier. It's really hard to find fault with the game, frankly, unless you don't like monkeys. If you hate monkeys, too bad. Number 5, A Link to the Past. Now, Sarah and I have been playing this game recently for our channel. I'll put a little thingy here. It is the game that really got me engaged in gaming. The dungeons are iconic to me. It hits a lot of the basics without being too elemental in nature, if you know what I'm saying. One of the biggest irks I had with A Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which, by the way, is one of my favorite games, at least top 10, is that everything was based on a thematic element, and that's kind of been a continued thing in a lot of Legend of Zelda titles since. Despite the fact that you have levels that are dedicated to not necessarily an element and not titled that way, it's still heavily influenced by an element, and you can look at just about any game and be like, is this clearly a fire temple, or clearly a water dungeon, or whatever. Now for the next one, number 6, Majora's Mask. This game is important to me on a storytelling level. The gameplay mechanics are fairly similar, basically the same, as what they were in Ocarina of Time. However, the storytelling aspect of Majora's Mask, the ability to translate the game as one of many different things, and you can still find videos online of people debating what exactly the story of Majora's Mask is. Is it a story about how Link is dead, which is a theory I prescribe to? Is it a story about grievance and loss because of the loss of a friend? Is it to be taken as a literal game where Link has just gone to another land to save the moon from crashing into it? We don't know. Number 7. Tales of Symphonia. Now, if you've watched a few of our videos in the past, you will know that Sarah and I are a bit of fans of the Tales of series. Sarah's a bigger fan of the Tales of series than I am. I'm not gonna pretend I'm a bigger fan. But for me, Tales of Symphonia was very influential to me on a storytelling level. I don't want to get into too much detail because the story, while simple, is fairly complicated, and it's kind of hard to give a brief synopsis on the story without explaining what each little detail was. But that's why it's so influential to me. The storytelling is so deep, the storytelling is so intense, but it's also surprising, I guess is the way I want to say it. The twist you find fairly early on into the game completely sweeps the rug out from underneath you. Game number 8. Elder Scrolls number 4. That's 8. 4. Oblivion. I have a friend who was basically on the same page as me. When they got Oblivion on a computer of theirs that worked, he played hundreds of hours of this game. And if you've ever actually taken the time to look at Oblivion as a game, just from a logistical standpoint, there is not hundreds of hours of gameplay in this game. That could be one of two things. One, either the game is well developed for replayability, exploration, and experimentation with character builds, designs, and all that good stuff, or we were obsessed. Frankly, there's a good chance it's a little bit of both. Number 9, my current obsession, Monster Hunter Tri. I've come into this fairly recently. This game is very influential to me in recent times, at least in the last 4 months. What I love about this game, though, is that there's no one style of gameplay that apparently, as far as I can tell and as far as I've read, is actually statistically better than the other. This game is developed in a way that allows you to really experiment and experience what gameplay style works best for you to achieve your quest, which is to slay the big monster. Usually with a big sword. The bigger sword, the better, I find. A big sword is a good sword, but you can do it with a little sword too if that's your thing. That just happened. And finally, last but not least, the most influential game to me as a person, and one of my all-time favorite games, and a really bad game as well, The King of Dragons. This game to me means a lot, not because of what the game was, not because of how the game was designed, how it was developed, but more so a personal thing to me. This was the first game I extensively played with my dad. We played it a lot together, or at least I seem to remember playing it a lot together with him. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And he can correct me, but his memory's just as bad as mine, so I doubt it. Bonding time with friends and family is some of the most important times we as people can have. And this game gave me exactly that, but in an environment where I got to kill dragons and orcs with my dad, because, you know, why not, right? It's a feeling there that I have yet to be able to replicate, and probably never will. That is my arbitrarily made top 10 list of most influential games to my time. You know what, Sarah? I want to hear what your top 10 list of most influential games to you as a gamer was, because I know you have at least 10, and it'd be kind of interesting to compare notes. For our Gen V folks, and you guys who are watching, subscribers, occasional viewers, or whatever, if you guys want to leave a couple of your influential games in the in comments below, I'd be more than happy to read them. I would love to see what was influential to you as a gamer, or if you're not a gamer, whatever. I love hearing from you guys as well, so share. And as always, if you like this video, leave a big old thumbs up. If you didn't like it, leave a big old thumbs down. That was right in front of my face and bad videography. Check in on Tuesdays when I upload a video, and Fridays when Sarah, my sister and much more persuasive member of the family, uploads her videos. And we'll catch you guys in the next video, whenever that happens to be.